1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Count them. 5 3D printers. I'm obsessed. Good morning, everybody. It's Stephen here from Bland Designs and the Idiot Quilter, and welcome to my weekly vlog for June the 24th, 2024, vlog number 365. And hope everybody had a good last week, and I hope you've got a good week coming up. And for those of you that live in Canada, we have a long weekend coming up. It's the July 1st weekend this weekend, and it's also the big huge Pride Parade in downtown Toronto, which they're predicting this year will be over 3 million people at that. I think it's the biggest one in North America next to New York City. So talk a little bit more about Pride Week and Pride Parade and that a little later on in today's session. But first of all, let's start with what I have been up to, what I've been making. Quick little view of it. Now, these are sort of quick shots at what I've been working on. I'll talk about these things in more detail on the Idiot Quilter tomorrow, because those of you that are into quilting would find this probably more interesting than my general audience. But this one is the Underground Railway. It's almost done. I need to add another border to the top and the bottom to kind of round it out. But I am happy with how that is turning out. And I had to get some more fabric for it, but more about that tomorrow at the Idiot Quilter and why I made the decisions that I did for this particular quilt. Of course, I've been working on a Halloween wall hanging. This one is called A Haunting Scene. And yeah, I'm having fun with it, but I always enjoy doing in-the-hoop embroidery projects. They do take a long time, but they are, I think, a lot of fun to do. So again, tomorrow, more details about that. And I finished this up as an in-the-hoop project as well. This is a beach bag, which it says on the outside of it. And I'm really happy with the way it turned out. And all the panels for the bag were made on the embroidery machine, and then I used my regular sewing machine to put it all together. Again, I will talk about that in more detail too tomorrow on the Idiot Quilter, and I'll have more pictures of the other sides of it as well. Okay. So that takes me to the YouTube channel of the week. Well, we just had a new American restaurant open up in downtown Toronto called Shake Shack. Now, we have heard, or at least I have heard of Shake Shack, but I've never been to one. And, well, this one, its first day when it opened, it had a lineup that went forever. So it's just burger, fries, and milkshakes from what I know. But anyways, I did find a review of this new Canadian version of the Shake Shack on YouTube, and that's the YouTube video clip of the week. This week's YouTube video has to deal with a American restaurant coming to Canada for the first time. Now, we have had other restaurants and things like that come up from the States, and unless they're McDonald's or Burger King, they really don't do all that well in our country for some reason. I think it possibly is that American corporations don't take into consideration the Canadian style of eating, because we do eat a little bit different than Americans. But nevertheless, Shake Shack has opened in Toronto, and it's right downtown Toronto at the Dundas Square, and that is sort of the hub of the city. And in this video, the person putting this up did a review of the food you can get. Now, I have to say that it's massive amounts of food, and it's pretty much just burgers and chicken and shakes and fries. Thus the name Shake Shack. There was a huge lineup on the first day that it opened, but we're like that. Canadians will line up for something new, but will it continue to be popular? I don't know. Time will tell. But in the meantime, this is a great video if you've never been to a Shake Shack, like myself, I never have, and it's one now here in Toronto, to see what makes it so appealing to people. Not only that, but they do have a shake, which is a bit of a gimmick, that sounds kind of gross actually. That is the Toronto Shake, and apparently it has maple syrup in it and cinnamon or something. doesn't sound like I would really like that. At the least, it'll be very, very sweet, I would think. But you know, they're trying to capitalize upon the Canadian market. But anyways, if you want to know more about this Shake Shack opening in Toronto, check out this video. So you'll find a link to that clip in the show notes below. You'll also find a link for Sewing with Stephanie and Stephen, our Wednesday session that happens every Wednesday, and the link is there. You'll also find a link for Pop-Up Sew Day. Yes, I'm having a Pop-Up Sew Day this coming Saturday, June the 29th, 2024, starting at 8 a.m., running until 5 p.m. It is a come and go event. It is Zoom. It is not YouTube Live, and it is not recorded. All are welcome to come to that. Whether you're working on a quilt, working on a bag, working on a garment, knitting, crocheting, whatever it is, come and have a good time. Now, this may be difficult for some of my Canadian subscribers, since, as I mentioned earlier, it is the long weekend, July the 1st weekend for us. But, you know, if you don't have plans and you want the company of other like-minded souls, then join us at the Pop-Up Sew Day. So that Zoom link is here in the show notes. And for those of you on my mailing list, I will be sending out sometime today, Monday, an email to you that invites you to the Pop-Up Sew Day and has the link. And I'm hoping my mailing list works this time correctly. If it doesn't, I'll go to my backup system. Always have a backup system. You will also find links for my 2 free patterns that I had designed, and they're kind of a permanent fixture in the show notes list. Anybody can have one of those. What I would ask, though, if you put your quilt, your finished product, into a quilt show, or if you give it to the pattern to a friend, or it gets featured on someone else's YouTube channel, your creation. And by the way, you can send those to me, and I will show them on the Idiot Quilter. Please give me credit for the pattern. That's a nice thing to do. After all, I give it to you for nothing. So there are links to all of my friends' YouTube channels as well. And there are links for the Underground Railroad book that has the patterns in it for those blocks. There is a link to both the haunting scene, a haunting scene, and the big beach bag, which are machine embroidery files. And there's links to last week's videos as well. So there's quite a bit in the show notes. Okay, so that takes me to what things are looking like weather-wise. I know that we have been having, across North America, really hot weather. Some places very hot. Here, it's been a nice balance, really, of heat, and we've had rain. And as you can see, I think we had some rain last night because things are looking a little dampish this morning as the sun comes up. But things are nice and lush and green here in southern Ontario. Can't say necessarily that's the same across the country. Currently, our temperature is at 15 degrees C, which is very comfortable with a slight breeze. 15 degrees C is about 60 degrees Fahrenheit, and our high today is going to be about 26, which is warm, but not overly for this time of year. So yeah, that's how things are looking today here. So that takes me to what's pissing me off this week. Well, this is a special week. The whole month has been special, but this is the week right up to Sunday's Pride Parade. It is a huge event, not just for the LGBTQ community, but for the entire province, really. A lot of people who live in Toronto and who live near to Toronto, and even a lot of people will make plans to come to Toronto for the Pride Parade. And as I said earlier, they're predicting this year there's going to be over 3 million people involved watching the parade. And the parade is long, and there's a lot of groups in the parade, a lot of floats and things like that. And they cordoned off several of the streets for several blocks in what is traditionally known as the gay district of Toronto. And there they have all kinds of vendors, event tents, beer tents, you name it, it's there, and it's a zoo. And if you have never been to a Toronto Pride, if you are like me and you really don't like to be in close confines with a lot of people, don't go. Because you will not be able to physically move. It is that busy. We don't go anymore. We used to go every year, but we haven't been in, I don't know how many years, probably 10 years or more, maybe even, for it, because it's just a zoo, just a zoo. You can't really see the parade anywhere along the route because it is 10 rows deep of people on either side of the road. People are shuffling for position to take pictures and everything like that. The media is there. It's a zoo. It really is a zoo. And having said that, however, I don't think once there has been any violence of any sort that would constitute having the law intercede. And that's pretty good when you're talking about that many people, and let's hope that carries on. But what pisses me off, not the parade and not the crowds, okay, that's to be expected. What pisses me off is that for one day or even 1 week in a year, the straight community, or as we like to refer to them, the breeders, suddenly are giving their support to our community. And then once the Pride Parade is over, that weekend, we're put back into the closet, so to speak, until next year. It is though we are there once a year for their amusement and entertainment. People come out to the parade, they bring their children. It's not necessarily a family event, although there are family-friendly areas of it. But the parade itself, well, it's a bit spectacular, but you are going to see things that may not be quite PG rated. Not a lot, but it's an opportunity for some people to get out there and get their weird on. And of course, the media always picks up on that kind of thing. Oh yeah, that's the other thing. The media are right there as well. Cameras and microphones in everybody's face. They pretend they're covering the parade. What they're looking for are those shots and videos that are going to attract an audience to their news program. And they look for the weirdest and focus on that. And some people who really are a little bit ignorant about the LGBTQ community think that's what all people in the LGBTQ community are like. And it gives us a bad reputation, and we are not like that. Yeah, some are, but then there's weirdos in every walk of life, aren't there? So this isn't anything unusual, really. Of course, what else pisses me off is the corporate sponsorships. Yeah, you will have all the major banks will have employees marching in the parade wearing pride colors with the logo for their bank right on prominent display, as if these banks really care about the LGBTQ community. Not really. They just see it as an opportunity for advertising and for, looking like they're all inclusive. I don't know about that. There's other corporations, especially ones that sell liquor, because there's a whole lot of beer that is bought and consumed during Pride Week and Pride Parade days. So yeah, they're right in there. There was a day and an age when they didn't really sponsor floats or anything about the parade. And then suddenly they realized, wow, this is a cash cow. And they got involved with it. But do they really care about, the rest of the year supporting the LGBTQ community? Only when it's convenient to sell their products. That's it. Of course, you have other groups that are showing their inclusivity by marching in the parade. Lots of unions do this. Now, they're a little different because the unions, they do support the LGBT community and they do help to protect anybody that is a member of their union. They do protect their rights and things like that. So that's okay. I used to march in the parade, Walter and I did, with the OSSTF, which is the Ontario Secondary School Teachers Federation, which all teachers who are high school teachers are members of, and we'd go and show our support. And my union definitely support it, all the LGBTQ members with them as well. So yeah, so that's a good thing about the parade. It does make the general public aware that here in Canada, you as an employer, you cannot discriminate against someone who is an LGBTQ member. So yeah, that's just a little reminder for some of them. I don't know how much reminder they need anymore in our country, really, to be gay, lesbian, and all of the other letters under the rainbow. Your rights are, for the most part, very well protected because of our human rights code and other things that our government has legislated over the years. So, this is a good country to live in if you are a member of the LGBTQ community. And I really wish they'd get a better name for this. Like, one word would be better than saying all the time LGBTQISI2T3P 3PDO. It's every letter in the alphabet's almost in it. I suggest we just call it rainbow. Leave it at that, Rainbow covers every color. Okay? Rainbow is all inclusive. It would work. It's easier to say. But anyways, I digress. So what else pisses me off about Pride Week and the whole thing? Well, I think I've talked about the commercial interests in there and talked about the entertainment value. I don't know what else pisses me off about it, really. And again, it's not that I'm pissed off so much as I'm aware that, like anything in our society, once businesses get involved with it, it becomes commercialized. It's all for the almighty dollar. Some of that money that happens in there is going to good causes. Okay, it's not all bad, but a lot of that money is going into, corporations' pockets and the government's pocket as well. Toronto City Council loves the Pride Parade because of the amount of tourism dollars it brings in every year. It's one of the major events of the year in Toronto in terms of bringing in money, bringing people into the city. The restaurants are full, the hotels are full, everything. People are shopping, and so yeah, it's quite the thing. And of course, this year it coincides with July 1st, which is Canada Day. So the parade's on Sunday and Canada Day's on the Monday. So it's a double whammy for tourism, for sure, with all of that. But Walter and I will not be participating this year, and we haven't in a long time. Might watch bits and pieces of it, whatever coverage we can find on TV or on YouTube. But that's about it. Are we going to have our own private celebration? Not really. You know why? In this household, every day is Pride Day. We don't need to have a parade for it. Okay, so that takes me to new products. I finally did it. Yes, I went out and I bought myself a brand new 3D printer. And there it is with the little boat sitting on it. That was the test. It's a Creality 3 KE, which is the one I bought back 6 months ago or so. And I love this particular model of Creality. It was very easy to assemble. Boy, they've come a long way since I bought my first one that took us like half a day to put together and another lifetime to figure out how it worked. This one is as close, I think, as you can get almost in 3D printers in this price range to plug and play. So if you've ever been thinking about getting a 3D printer, I would suggest the Creality 3 version 3, I think it is, KE. It took me 15 minutes to put together. It's already assembled. All I have to do is put the gantry on, like it locks in with a couple of bolts, plug in a couple of things, and that was it. And then it's up and ready to run. And that's just a little test benchy, they call it, just so you can see that how well it's printing and everything like that. And it came out as close to perfect as you can probably get with this type of a printer in that price range. And the price range, Under $400 Canadian. That is pretty good price. You can pay thousands for a 3D printer, but if you're a hobbyist like I am, this probably will fit into your budget, and the learning curve, well, it can be as steep as you want it to be. There's always things you can learn from a 3D printer. However, if you just want something that's quick and dirty, you plug it in, throw it into something, and you want it to print, this one will do the job for that. So I'm very pleased with it. That now means that I have got 5, yeah, 5 3D printers. Where do I put them all? Well, I was able to get them all to fit in the one area where they always sit, which is just over the shoulder, over here. Can't see, it's out of the shot. And they're all lined up. And yes, I've had them all running at one time because I wanted to make sure I wasn't going to blow a circuit breaker or anything like that. Happy to say I did not. And yeah, it's a beautiful thing to see all 5 of them working away. Somebody asked me one time, are they noisy? It depends on what your definition of noise is, really. I'm so used to what they sound like, doesn't bother me at all. But no, they're not that loud. I mean, there is some noise. Like there are motors in it that are running, stepper motors, so you are going to hear that. But for the most part, even with all 5 of them running, I can definitely hear myself think. It's not like I have to yell over top of them. So that's all pretty good. And what was I going to say? Oh yeah, I do have some pictures, a little video clip that I will insert shortly in to show you how this all works, because I do have a little video about part of my continuing series on can I print that effing thing. So in that section, I'm going to show you them at work. Okay, so that was what new products were. Oh, we did buy something else this week too. I don't have a picture of it, but you've seen them. We bought an air fryer. Now, yeah, astounding. Not. We had an air fryer before. We had one of those Actifries, and they work really well. But the problem with the Actifry, the one that we had, it has a stirrer in it. So it kind of limits certain things that you want to cook in it. So, of course, Canadian Tire, or as we call it, Crappy Tire, had a sale on this particular, I think it is a, is it a Ninja? I can't remember what the, no, it's a Tefal air fryer, a large one. Actually, it has a big, I think it's 8 point something liter basket in it. And we've replaced the Actifry with this one. Takes up a little bit more counter space, and we don't have a lot of counter space anymore because we have a lot of appliances on the counter. I mean, we have toaster oven, 2 coffee makers, a grill, a panini grill, 2 microwaves, the Actifry, a bag sucker. You know, the thing that sucks the air out of your bag. I call it the bag sucker. Yeah. We do have a fairly large counter, but oh my God. Yeah. You can dial dinner in there. You got an appliance for everything. Oh, there's a blender there too, and a can opener. Oh God, how many more things can we get there? Anyways, I digress. We've tried out the air fryer. Walter tried it with chicken wings. It did a really good job on the chicken wings. That was one of the things you couldn't really put in the active fryer because, you know, it's moving them around and little crusty bits come off as it's happening, and it was a bitch to clean. This one, it's coated in Teflon, I guess, so well, I don't think it was really hard for Walter to clean it after he made the chicken wings. So we did hear that you can get these little, they're like coffee filters, paper coffee filters, but they're meant for these kind of things, which, you know, you line sort of the basket with them and it's easier to clean up. We've got to look into some of those just to see. So we're experimenting with it. This one grills, cooks, and steams. So we tried the cook. That was with the chicken wings. We have yet to try the steam and the grilling part. So we'll see how that works out. So yeah, new toys. We love our appliances, and we have a graveyard of appliances. I'm telling you, down in our crawl space, we really need to clean that out. We say this all the time to each other, and we just look at it and go, not today. You know what that's like. So anyways, those are the new things this week. So let's talk a little bit about how our garden is growing. So this is grow light number 1. On the right side, those are radishes, and on the other side, that's lettuce. They're coming along quite nicely. That particular kind of lettuce, that doesn't mean it's not healthy or anything. That's just the way it looks. The radishes are a bit of an experiment. I don't know what's happening with them, but at least they're nice and green. Onions, we have onions coming out of our ears. These are not the only onions we have, and I think Walter is, I don't know what he's going to do with these, whether he's going to transplant them outside, because he figures that that container they're in, they're crowding each other and they're not going to get very big. We don't want huge onions, but so that's to be seen, and these other 2 tubs are for whatever else he should get started. I say we should get started on some herbs. Outside, oh, it's a thing of beauty. I love the all of these plants on the deck in the summer because they look so nice. You can see we have a couple of crops of lettuce here. They're doing really well. And these ones you see up here and here are also lettuce, but those were started from seed out there. So they're not coming on. They're coming on, but they're not as quick as these ones did. Well, these ones were started by seed too, but Walter started them earlier. Tomato plants are doing very, very well this year. You can see we've got lots of tomatoes already coming on them. I think these are Romas. I think they look like Romas. Our peppers are coming on really nicely too. You can see right down here some of the pepper plants. So yeah, things are growing really well, and it's luscious. Everything's doing great. And you know, I think too this year we've had a lot of sun, but we've also had a fair amount of rain in our area, and that's really helping with the plants because where they're located, they do dry out very, very quickly. They have to be watered every day. So it helps when there's been some showers in the night, especially. And so, yeah, things are looking good. There'll be some good eating soon. Lots of salads, and we're definitely into salads. Okay, so now to return again to our discussion about 3D printing, and this is the can I print that 3D effing thing? And yeah, there are a lot of things you can do with a 3D printer. Yes, you've seen the little trinkets and toys that I've made, but you can also make some home decor things, some very practical things like flower pots and watering cans. But you can also do art, like sculptures and things. So I have a little video I'm going to insert here showing you my sculpture collection.
So one thing you might not know is that a lot of times on different sites for 3D models, you can find actual sculptures that have been scanned because they're in museums or something like that, and the file has been put up and you can print it on your printer. Now these do take quite a bit of time to do them, but if you really want to get a marble-like or statue-like look, you can buy filaments that look like stone, and that's what I have right here. And when I got my first 3D printer, I got enamored with doing these kind of things. The Thinker and different significant models that you've seen. Now, of course, I had to do one of Shakespeare, and I believe at the time that took about 4 days to print. It would be faster now on the printers that I had, and it took a lot of supports as well, which was a bit of a pain, and especially when you're first starting out, I didn't know much about supports. But you have that, you have these, and they came out really quite cool, and they often have a lot of detail, so that's why you need to have your settings on your printer dialed in so you can get the best print possible. Because even look at this on Shakespeare's boot, that's the little tie for it as well. So you can see how intricate the detail can be on some of these statues like this one. That is very fine detail. So if you're looking to have a sculptural piece in your home, picking the right filament, adjusting your settings to get the size that you want, and can be a lot of fun and can look really cool someplace in your home if you're into that kind of thing.
Now, as promised, I have a little video clip here showing my print mill at work, and I also did a little comparison of each of the printers' ability to print a small little figure, a little dragon. They all had the same file. They were all using the same brand of filament, not exactly the same color, but I show a little comparison about each of these printers. And if you're somebody that's interested in getting into the 3D printing and you're interested in Creality, this might be of help to you.
Okay, so I have all 5 of my 3D printers up and working all at the same time. And I'm doing this as an experiment to see, one, if my power supplies can handle this. I have 4 power supplies, but 2 of the printers are plugged into one. These are UPSs, uninterrupted power supplies. So I don't know if I'm going to have to buy another one for the new printer or not. We'll see. So far, so good. And they're all working on the same model, with the exception of the newest one in the middle. I'm printing one of the larger dragons that take about 24 hours to print. The other ones are all printing dragons as well, but they're all, they're called Cute Dragon. They're just a tiny little thing. And I'm just going to do a comparison between each of the printers to see how successful they are at printing that particular model. I did put supports on each one of them as well, because it looked like it probably could use them. So we'll see how this all works out, and I'll show you the end results and the comparison later. So what I have here is a comparison of each of my 5 3D printers and what they're capable of. Now, I picked this particular model because it is very tiny. It only took about an hour, hour and a half, depending on the printer, to print out. So I didn't expect the detail to be that great, but nevertheless, we're going to check this out. The first one is my original Ender version 1. And you can see it did not do too bad of a job, if I can focus it in here. It's not bad. Detail, you can see some lines of the filament, but again, this is a really intricate model, and it's very tiny, so I would expect that. So I think it did pretty good considering it's my original version 1 printer. This printer and the one beside it are both my Ender 3V2 version 2s with the Creality touch on them. And again, these were all printed with supports as well, so that's why there's some roughness as well on here, because yeah, the supports were very difficult to get off. You can see these are actually a little rougher than the version 1, and yet version 1 I have to level manually, and these two, the CRT does it for me. So I'm not sure what that says. Now maybe if I dialed in other parameters I could get smoother models. These two came from my 2 latest printers, my KEs, and this is my first KE printer, and it did a fairly good job. Again, there's a little bit of roughness about this, but not as bad. If you look at the wings of this dragon, they're pretty good. And the same with the latest printer, the KE, which I call my KE number 2. Both of these did a really nice job. Now, I am now going to take this model, and I've blown it up 400%, and I'm printing it out on the KE number 1 printer, and I will show you what happens with that when that is done. It's going to take considerably longer to print, and I'm printing it with supports. But you know, all of these printers, though, did a fairly good job, given the fact that I really put them through a real test.
Okay, so that takes me to blasts from the past, old video clips from 10 years ago or more, when I first started my channel. And this one, we were talking about sculptures a moment ago with 3D printing. Well, I tried my hand at something called a book sculpture. And it was my first attempt at that. And it's where you take an old book. I saw this technique somewhere. And by folding the pages in the book in a certain way, you create basically a type of sculpture from it. And I called it a work of art. I called my work of art Hardly, because on one of the folded pages there just happened to be a title of a chapter there, and it was in the book, and it was Hardly. So I thought, what the heck? I call it Hardly. And it's kind of a neat little thing. But here's the video clip telling you all about it from 2013, I believe this video clip comes from. So the quality's a little...
Hi, this is a really quick little video to show you my latest project. Now, this is definitely something different from what I'm usually showing on my YouTube video, but this nevertheless is a type of album. Actually, it's book sculpture. Now, I've seen many books that show you how to do this, or at least have diagrams of some very beautiful pieces that people actually have intricate folding techniques for, or do sculpting with using an X-Acto knife. But basically what this project was is I took an ordinary book, a hardcover book, an old one, and I found a video on YouTube, and it's by some young lady named, and I probably won't pronounce her name correctly, Joey Reddington, which I'll put in the notes below this video. She has a video on how to do this, and I followed her instructions, and it was pretty simple, really. And you create this very elaborate structure. So I'll just try to move it in here so you can get a closer look. So you see, this is a whole book. None of the pages have been cut out. See on the edge you have here. And you just simply start in the center and you start doing these elaborate folds. Well, they're not that elaborate. They're pretty easy, actually. Series of triangles in different ways. So do check out her YouTube channel for this. Again, it'll be in the notes below. And you can see how this is done. But then after I got it all folded together, I added these large brads to the corners and glued down the pages that I had left to make it a little bit more stable. I aged it by spraying walnut spray over it and then edging with a black soot Tim Holtz Distress ink pad the edges. And on the back, so I can hang it on a wall, I just took a piece of very strong cardboard and glued it to the back of this. Now, this is my first attempt, so when I make another one of these, I think I would paint this first before I glue it down, maybe just a basic black. And then I'm going to get a picture hanger kit, put it on the back, and I'm going to hang it on the wall. But it really didn't take a lot of time to do it once you got the hang of it. I think it's really kind of neat, and there's all kinds of variations. And if you do a YouTube search, you'll probably find all kinds of different variations of this kind of structure. And really, it's open to your interpretation as to what you want to do with it. So just another idea, book sculpture. I call it book sculpture. I don't know, it might have other names for it, but I think it's really cool.
And I have heard from you that some of you are really enjoying looking at my past life when I was a paper creator, or a paper crafter, I guess that's what you would call it. And so there'll be another little clip next week. And I have to admit, I'm kind of enjoying looking at these because I haven't watched them in 11 years in some cases. So it's kind of interesting to see, what I used to do. And it helps me to remember because, you get to an age where you don't remember what you had for breakfast in the morning. So events in the past week. Well, Stephanie hosted a jelly roll drag race. If you don't know what a jelly roll drag race is, a jelly roll is a bundle of 2.5-inch strips of fabric, and basically we just sewed them all together end to end, and then fold them up and down the seam and fold it up down a seam, and within about an hour and a half you have a quilt. And we were doing these quilts for charity. So my quilt, which I do not have a picture of it, I forgot to take a picture of it. I still have it, but of course it hasn't been quilted yet. So once I have it quilted, finished up, I will show it to you down the road. But it was fun. I've never done a jelly roll drag race before. And it's a great way to make a really quick quilt. So we had that, and I think it's probably rebroadcasted because we did it as a YouTube live. There was a bunch of us on there. There was Stephanie from Stephanie Stitches. There was Shannon from Slade Arts. There was Russ from Quilt Meets World, and there was Ingrid and her friend Colleen, I believe her name was. Ingrid doesn't have a YouTube channel, although we've been bugging her about starting one. But she's a friend to all of us as well. And yeah, who won the race? Well, hands down, it would have been Stephanie because she is a power sewer. And of course, she was making two at the same time, whereas the rest of us were making one. But it's really not that kind of a race. It wasn't a competition. But we were able to make, what, 5, 6 quilts that will eventually go to charity. So that was pretty good. Okay, and speaking of Stephanie and Shannon, they held a retreat this yesterday, Sunday. Both of them taught us some things. Stephanie taught us a great pattern for a little picnic blanket and or picnic quilt, and I'll show you right here. Now mine isn't done, but these are the blocks. It's not a huge project. All I have to do is put the sashing on it and add the borders to it and then get it quilted and it's done. It's very pretty. I loved her design. Her instructions and everything were very easy to follow, and yeah, it's very, very pretty. Now I don't know if Stephanie will be offering this pattern on her website. She may be, so you can always go over to Stephanie Stitches and check it out and see if it's available if you're interested in it. And Shannon taught us how to make a beach bag, and sadly I did not get mine finished yet with it, but and I had a little trouble with the beach bag, but it was part of it was she combined it with foundation paper piecing, and I am not very well experienced foundation paper piecing, although Shannon did show us how to do it again. But I'll be honest, I'm not a fan of foundation paper piecing. You know, you either love it or you hate it. And I'm just going to have to say, I'm sorry, I hate it. I like traditional piecing better, but that's okay. That's not a reflection on Shannon or anybody else that likes it. If that's your thing and you enjoy it, good for you, because you should enjoy something that you're doing. And I don't. So anyways, it was fun. It was a nice day. I was pretty tired out, actually. I was glad I didn't have to cook, or Walter and I didn't have to cook dinner because we went to my sister's for dinner. She invited us there, and that was fun. We hadn't seen my sister and the kids and my brother-in-law since before Christmas. Yeah, how time flies. You know, it's been a good 6 months. So yeah, that was nice. We had a nice time. I may have drank just a little too much because when I woke up this morning, I really didn't want to get out of bed, but I had to because this is a busy day. Because we are going off to the doctors. Yes. You know how I feel about doctors. I don't like them. But Walter's making me go. I have a mark on my back. I've had this mark for quite a while. Like quite a while, not in weeks, in years. And he's been bugging me forever to have it looked at. So I'm going to the doctor to have it looked at. And of course, you know what we're the possibility is, I hope that's not true, but we're talking melanoma, cancer, something like that. I'm sure what she'll do is she'll take a look at it and she'll refer me to somebody like a dermatologist or whatever that looks at these things and knows better. Not looking forward to any of this, but I know that it should be done. So it's being done. Now, I was telling my sister about this and she says, oh, the red spot? And I said, yeah. And she says, yeah, she's got one too. But it runs in our family. I think my dad had it too. And they weren't carcinogenic or anything. It's just a hereditary kind of thing. But I guess you have to be better safe than sorry, right? And I'm talking with my quilt hanging up there. And I guess, you know, for Walter's peace of mind and mine too. So yeah, not looking forward to it. Yep. Okay, so that's today. There's other things going on this week as well. Always something. Always something. Busy, busy, busy. And another thing that happened this week, Walter made a pie. Now, you may think that's not significant, but to me it is, because pie is one of my favorite food groups, and Walter's pies are absolutely wonderful and delicious. And he may destroy a kitchen while he makes a pie, but it's worth the cleanup afterwards. And I have a little video of Walter's pie that I'm going to insert right here, right now.
So, Walter, what are you making?
Pie.
What kind of pie?
Strawberry rhubarb.
What are you doing right now?
Rolling up my dough.
Pushing out your dough? Oh. Now, of course, you know, when you mix water with flour, you get glue.
So what?
Yeah, I know. So what? I'm the one that chips it off the counter.
You do not.
Oh, I do, because you never wipe it up properly. But here we go. It's pie, strawberry rhubarb pie. Yum, yum, yum. We'll come back. What are you doing now, Walter?
I'm adding a few more berries to my pie because I don't think it's full enough.
Now, the secret here is, will this be deep dish or regular pie?
Oh, go away.
They don't know what I mean by deep dish.
But sometimes in the past, when I've made a fruit pie, I haven't had enough thickener in it, and it ends up getting runny.
And that's what I call a pie that's you want to eat with a spoon. So what are you using for thickener this time?
I'm using tapioca.
Oh yeah, that always seems to work out pretty good.
You know, I don't want to add too many extra strawberries because it'll leave me runny.
Do you have rhubarb in there?
Yes, there's some rhubarb in there.
Oh, was there any rhubarb left over?
No.
Oh, you used it all. 3 stalks of rhubarb.
4.
4? I thought we only got 3.
I cut one in half, so yes, 3 stalks of rhubarb. So what about it?
I don't know. Just wondered.
It's 3 cups. You need 3 cups of rhubarb.
Okay. Good for you. And is that the top crust?
No, I'm working on the top crust.
Well, that's what I said that was.
Yeah, this is, yeah.
Yeah, well, that's what I meant. I know that's not the top crust. That's the bottom of the pie.
Mm-hmm.
Unless you're going to serve upside down strawberry rhubarb pie. Ooh, there's something.
No, this is the second bottom crust.
Oh, you're making 2 pies?
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. Well, you could. Yeah. Okay, so Walter just put his top crust on, and now he's poking it.
What?
Nothing. I was looking and going, oh, yum, pie, my favorite food group. You know how I enjoy pie. Uh-oh, he's armed.
Yeah, I stick that camera in my face again to get it pulled.
Oh, yeah, right. You like to be the center of attention. All of them will be writing and going, oh, Walter, your pie looks fantastic. How can you do it? You make shirts, you make pies, you don't clean anything up. But,
Yes,
you know,
I do.
yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Well, I can't wait to have some
Good,
pie.
then I won't make pie anymore and I'll just clean.
Hey, how long have I been begging for pie? I'd eat pie every day if I could. And I would if you'd make them every day.
Yeah, well,
Well, if you made a bunch of them and froze them and
I used to do that.
yeah, those were the good old days. We always had pie on demand. Okay, so Walter's pie is out of the oven, and here it is. We haven't cut into it yet, but it looks delicious. Can't wait to eat it.
As I mentioned before, Pop-Up Sew Day this coming Saturday. I always enjoy those days. I always get a lot of things done. It's nice to talk with everybody. People try to get me to buy things. It's an enablers group. Yep. And oftentimes they succeed. And so, yeah. So if you've never been to one of our Pop-Up Sew Days, one of my Pop-Up Sew Days, you're more than welcome to join us if you like to sew and be in the company of like-minded people. Okay, so I think that's it for today. A long one. Sorry, you may have wanted, I should have said it at the beginning, you may want to grab yourself a quart of coffee and sit down and watch, or, you know, clean out that underwear drawer with me playing in the background or something like that. You know, some mindless little task or whatever. Anyways, Have a great week, and we'll see you later. Bye for now.